You've made it to this video. This means you're one of those seekers who aren't just looking for a show or for information, but for the depth of truth. An ancient thirst has awakened within you. Perhaps a question that has been dormant for many lifetimes, a question that can't be found in science or in superficial religious books. Who am I? And an even more mysterious question, did I exist before this body? Was there something before birth? Will something remain after death? These questions aren't just questions, they are windows of the soul. If you look at them from within, the entire direction of your life can change, and that is today's journey. We will walk to a place where the mind stills, where the soul's memory awakens, and where the words of Paramahansa Yogananda illuminate our path. If you too wish to be a fellow traveler on this journey, then this channel is your home. Like this video, because your one touch tells us that you are awake. Subscribe because these journeys are long, and we will want to call you back every time. Press the bell icon so that whenever the next call of the soul arrives, its sound reaches you without delay. Now, let's not close our eyes but turn them inward. The journey begins with the mystery that existed before birth and is still alive today. In you, in me, in everyone, the soul is immortal. We've been hearing this since childhood. But have we ever stopped and asked, where was the soul before it was born into this world? In what state was it? Was it wandering in a void, or was it resting in a subtle realm? When Paramahansa Yogananda speaks of the mystery of the soul, he doesn't just present a philosophy. He speaks the language of experience. Every word of his comes from the journey he undertook in the depths of his being. Paramahansa Yogananda says that the soul is never destroyed, nor does it have a beginning. It is a part of the Brahman, the purest form of consciousness. But when it is born on this earth, it's not a sudden process. It is part of a vast, subtle, and mysterious plan that requires not just intellect, but silence, meditation, and inner vision to understand. This journey doesn't begin when one enters a womb. It starts much earlier. The soul travels from one realm to another, carrying the subtle impressions of its karma. Based on its past desires, imperfections, and aspirations, it has to choose its next experience. The soul also has a kind of choice. Which body will it enter? What kind of life will it choose? All of this is based on its inner state and level of consciousness. In deep meditation, Paramahansa Yogananda saw that before taking birth, the soul rests in a specific level of consciousness, which he called the astral realm. This is not a physical place but a state of consciousness where souls prepare the blueprint of their future lives. There are souls that are highly evolved, and some are still clouded by illusion and ignorance. Here, the soul reviews its past lives. It sees where it didn't love, where it embraced hatred, where it was swept away by anger, and where it chose selfishness instead of sacrifice. And then the decision is made about what kind of life the next birth will be. This process is filled with knowledge that is beyond the human mind. There are no words there. There are emotions, energy, and vibrations. These vibrations guide the soul on its upcoming journey. Dear viewer, what you are hearing here is not just a story but a window into that invisible world that we have only touched in the realm of experience. This subject can shake your consciousness, and it's necessary because until we know who we are, where we came from, and where we are going, life remains an incomplete book. I urge you to watch this series till the end because in every part, you will get a glimpse of that aspect of your existence which was hidden in the fog until now. Now we will move forward to the point where the soul has to decide which womb to enter. Which parents would be suitable for it? This is because the soul is not an accidental or unconscious entity. It comes with a specific purpose for each birth. In deep meditation, Paramahansa Yogananda saw that the soul operates under a subtle plan that can be called the cosmic order, a system that not only connects our past and present, but also shapes the future. When the soul chooses a womb, it doesn't just choose a body. It chooses an environment. It chooses sanskar or conditioning. It chooses the confluence of the parent's karma. This choice is based on that deep karmic point where the soul's previous life was left incomplete. A mistake was made, a lesson remained to be learned, or a relationship was left unfinished. The soul chooses the next life to complete these unfinished points. It is drawn to the souls with whom its karmic debt remains. Sometimes they become parents, sometimes siblings, sometimes life partners. Here, another important secret is that the soul is not only drawn by love, but also where there is animosity. An attraction for rebirth is formed there as well. Yogananda says the soul keeps returning until it is free from all emotional barriers. Therefore, sometimes you are born into the family of your enemies. But this choice is made at a conscious level, so it can also become an opportunity to transform into love. After choosing the womb, the soul enters the mother's consciousness field through a special vibration. But this is not just a biological process. It happens from the depths of energy. The soul first appears as a shadow in the mother's subtle body, then slowly begins the process of entering the physical body. This is the time when the mother has special experiences, some unique dreams, an intensity of emotions, or sometimes a sense of divinity. But most people don't recognize it. Before entering the womb, the soul is also shown what difficulties, struggles, and lessons it will have to go through in the upcoming life. It sees all this, yet it gladly accepts it because it knows that this journey is towards liberation. No matter how harsh this world is, the soul knows that every birth is an opportunity, a spiritual practice. There is a profound secret here, which Yogananda revealed. When the soul decides to enter the body, it has to wear a veil of forgetfulness. It forgets who it was, where it came from, and why it came. This is why a newborn has no prior memory. This veil is necessary so that the soul can learn its lessons anew. But this same veil becomes our greatest sorrow. We forget our divine source, and to reconnect with it, we have to practice sadhana again, meditate, and enter into silence. Now the question arises, once the soul is in the womb, does it start experiencing everything from there? Is it affected by the mother's emotions, thoughts, and desires? Yes, once the soul enters the womb, it becomes deeply connected to that body and that environment. Paramahansa Yogananda says that after entering the womb, the soul is not fully awake, but it is not asleep either. It is in a middle state, like someone sitting in deep meditation, with sounds and energy coming from all around, yet silence prevailing within. This state in the womb is extremely sensitive for the soul. Every thought of the mother, every emotion, her fear, her love, everything resonates in the subtle consciousness of the soul. This is why the Vedas say that Garbha Sanskar, prenatal conditioning, is supreme, because this is the time when the soul can be given direction. If the mother is in fear, anger, or worry, those vibrations become the soul's first impression. If the mother is in silence, love, or devotion, the soul naturally acquires those qualities. This is not just psychology, it is energy science. Yogananda says that the mother's mind is the soul's first school at that time. What she thinks becomes the soul's first conditioning. It's an invisible thread, but it's very strong. The soul does not retain memories of its past lives, but the environment it receives in the mother's womb becomes the seed of its present consciousness. While in the womb, the soul experiences not only emotions, but also sound and light. But these experiences are not at the level they are in the outside world. They are in the form of subtle waves, the sound of chants, the whisper of love, or the trembling cry of fear. All of these deeply affect the soul's subtle body. This is where many questions arise. Why are some children sad from birth? Why do some have deep fear, even though they haven't had a bad experience? Why do some come with innate talent, even though they have not practiced? The secret lies here. The emotional and energetic environment the soul received in the womb became the first color of its consciousness. Paramahansa Yogananda also said that some souls are so advanced that they meditate even in the womb. They remember God while being inside the mother. They know why they have come and what work they have to do in this life. But this is rare. Most souls are so covered by the veil of forgetfulness that the time in the womb becomes just a waiting period for them, like a passenger standing at a station, waiting to catch the next train. Now the time of birth approaches. The soul has slowly started to fully enter the body. This is the time when the complete union of body and soul takes place, and then the moment of birth arrives. This is not just a biological process. It's like a spiritual explosion. The soul, which was silent in the hidden darkness and vibrations within the mother, now takes its first breath. This breath is not just taking air in, it is the soul's first communication with the earth. As the newborn cries, it declares its presence in a world that is completely new to it. Paramahansa Yogananda says that for the soul, this first cry is not just pain. It is a symbol of oblivion. It cries because it knows that it has once again come into the world of forgetfulness, where it will have to recognize itself again and search for who it is. With birth, the soul's descent is complete, which the sages called the first sacrament. This is a moment in which the soul for the first time experiences the limitations of the body, the touch of the skin, the intensity of sound and light. All of this is a shock to it because it was in the subtle realms, where there was no friction, no hunger, no duality. Now it is bound within this physical body. This bondage is the play of Maya, illusion. A deep truth here is that even immediately after birth, the child carries the energy of its past lives. In its eyes, in its smile, in its silence, something is hidden that is from before this life. Yogananda says that if a yogi looks with the vision of meditation, he can read the old journey of a newborn soul, but an ordinary person sees it as just an innocent child. With birth, this world starts to bind the soul with its rules. A name is given, a religion is given, a language is taught, the sense of relationships is created. All of this is necessary, but in this, the soul slowly forgets its original identity. The moment it is taught, "Who am I?" it forgets what it truly was. For the soul, this life now becomes a journey that will lead it back to remembrance, that will tell it that this birth was not an accident or a punishment, but an opportunity. But this understanding develops very slowly, and most people spend their entire lives in the illusion that they are only a body and a name. From here, the soul's outer journey begins: infancy, childhood, adolescence, and at the same time, an inner journey that is invisible. This inner journey becomes the means to guide the soul in its true direction. But does the soul receive hints during life about who it is and where it came from? Yes, the soul receives hints during life repeatedly, but they are so subtle that most people do not recognize them. These hints come in dreams, in the echo of a song, in a strange sense of recognition when seeing an unfamiliar face, like a forgotten language that suddenly echoes in your ears in the form of a word. The soul is startled. Where did this come from? But the mind immediately says, it's nothing, just an illusion. Paramahansa Yogananda says that the soul is never in complete ignorance. It's as if it's covered by a fog, but from within, it knows that its source is somewhere else. This is why sometimes, for no reason, a restlessness arises. Even with everything, something feels incomplete. This incompleteness is the soul's remembrance, the remembrance of that truth that it has lost. Life's experiences, whether they are happiness or sorrow, are not just events for the soul, they are doors. When some deep pain shakes the heart, a voice comes from within. You are greater than this. There comes a moment when love is so deep that the soul remembers its form for a moment. Then it forgets again. But this forgetfulness is not permanent. It returns to remembrance, as if a seed has been planted. The biggest hint among these is the soul's attraction, the attraction towards a direction where it can find its source. Some people are drawn to spirituality, some get lost in meditation, some in music, some in nature, and they don't even know why, but somewhere inside, an old memory is waking up. This is the same memory that was within it before birth and remained alive in silence even after birth. Sometimes the soul meets a specific person, and it feels as if it has known them for years. This is not just an emotional connection. This is a soul memory. But this memory is not at the level of the mind, it's at the level of the soul. And when it awakens, a new direction is born in life. But society, education, and tradition repeatedly lead the soul into illusion. It is said, what is seen is the truth. But what attracts the soul is invisible. Therefore, this journey is so difficult, and yet this is the journey that can lead the soul to its roots. But when the soul starts to recognize the hints, when it starts to understand the restlessness rising within it, when it starts to see extraordinary messages in ordinary experiences of life, it slowly begins to awaken. This awakening does not come in a single moment. It happens many times. It stops, it steps back, then it returns. This is an inner battle between the soul and the ego, between memory and forgetfulness. And then a time comes when the soul can clearly see its journey. It begins to know that this life is just a stop, a chapter in that infinite book that has been written for lifetimes. But can the soul fully read that book? Can it know why this journey of lifetimes exists, for whom it is, and where it ends? Very few souls can know why this journey exists, for whom it is, and where it ends. Most souls keep wandering in this cycle: birth, death, rebirth. This cycle is so vast and deep that without consciousness, it becomes a maze. Paramahansa Yogananda says that the soul's journey is not towards a goal that can be found externally. This journey is inward, towards its own center, and this journey exists because the soul has forgotten its original nature. This forgetfulness is the cause of rebirth. Every birth gives the soul an opportunity to remember again that it is not a body, a name, or a relationship. It is pure consciousness, infinite light, and it has come from the Supreme Source. For the soul to know why this journey exists is only possible when it turns from the gross to the subtle, when its search begins inside instead of outside. This search is sadhana. This is tapas. Life then is no longer just a sequence of events. It becomes a symbol. Every sorrow, a door; every love, a message; every relationship, a link towards that self-remembrance that existed before birth. Those who have descended into their inner being and understood this journey say that the soul's journey is not for any achievement. It is to erase the oblivion that happened because of Maya. When the soul comes into full remembrance, when it experiences that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am consciousness, only then does this journey end. And this is liberation. Liberation does not mean that the soul goes somewhere. It means that it does not take birth again, because no incompleteness draws it anymore. It has nothing to gain, nothing to become. It has come to know that it is complete, eternally perfect, and will remain so. But this experience does not come suddenly. It comes through a long spiritual practice, a long meditation, and a continuous process of awareness. The soul has to repeatedly see its own experiences, recognize them, and then transcend them. It knows that this journey is for it, only for it, not to prove anything to anyone else, not to impress anyone else. This is the preparation for the soul's meeting with the soul. And then the soul sees that this cycle of births was not a punishment. It was an opportunity to know its completeness again. This rebirth had only one reason: reunion with the Paramatma, Supreme Soul. And this is the point where the soul's relationship with the physical body ends, and it is ready to merge back into that light from which it once came. But is this merging a symbol of the end of the soul, or is it the beginning of another mystery? This merging is not the end of the soul. It is the beginning of a descent into another depth. Where the cycle of birth and death ends, another extremely subtle journey begins from there. This journey is now from the manifested to the unmanifested, where the soul experiences not just itself, but the entire existence. Paramahansa Yogananda says that when the soul merges with the Supreme Soul, it doesn't get lost. For the first time, it becomes fully itself. This merging is not like a drop of water joining the ocean, but the drop realizing that it was always the ocean. The soul now finds itself free from limitations. No limitation of the body, no name, no karma. It now becomes everything that was, that is, and that will be. After entering this state, consciousness becomes Brahman consciousness. This is the state where no desire remains, no question, only silence remains, and this silence is not without words. This silence is filled with thousands of answers. The soul is now not in any form, but only in presence. It becomes light. It becomes pure love. It becomes a divine vibration. Here the soul has no desire for heaven or for taking birth. It is only a witness. It watches the movement of the world but is not bound by it. It comes to know that what it called death was an illusion, and what it considered birth was also just a transformation. It knows that time, space, and life were all expansions of its own consciousness. But this state is not an achievement. It would have been naturally available if the soul had not been trapped in Maya. Therefore, Paramahansa Yogananda repeatedly reminds us of this secret. The soul has to return to its nature. It doesn't have to go anywhere. It's already there, just asleep. Waking up is its goal. After this awakening, the soul also experiences that there is no other in this entire existence. Everything is the same consciousness, the same love, the same source, and this is the ultimate mystery. There is no end, only depths that continuously open. The soul no longer searches, it now radiates from within itself. Its every vibration touches existence. It becomes nameless, and yet all names are born from it. Now the question, who am I, doesn't arise. Now only answers remain, and then it sinks into silence. A silence that, while being wordless, says everything. The soul now does not return or take birth, but it becomes a path for the awakening of others. But is all this only for some special souls? Or is this divinity possible within every soul? This divinity is not just for some special souls. Every soul, no matter how ordinary it may seem, has come from the same supreme source, from which Buddha, Krishna, Jesus, or Paramahansa Yogananda came. The only difference is the awakening. The seed is the same. Paramahansa Yogananda spent his entire life repeating this truth, that within every soul is the light that illuminates the universe. No one is small, no one is big. It's just that one has awakened, and one is still asleep. Just as the sun is one, but one door is open, and one is closed. The difference in light is due to this, not due to the sun. Human birth is for this reason, to recognize this divinity. This life is not an accident. It is an invitation to descend within, to know the soul, and to meet that supreme truth that existed before birth and will remain after death. But this recognition is not possible until the soul keeps searching outside, in things, in relationships, in positions, in fantasies. When the soul looks within, in silence and without thoughts, for the first time, it gets a glimpse of itself. It knows that within it is an immortal element that never changes, that is beyond time. This is the same element that the Vedanta calls Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. This is not a philosophical statement. It is the soul's own experience. But this experience does not happen suddenly. It is a spiritual practice, a devotion. The soul has to burn in its own darkness, pass through the ashes of illusions, and break the walls of attachment. And when it transcends all these layers, the same light that shone from the Buddha shines from within. The same love that flowed from Jesus. The same power that shone in Yogananda's eyes. Every soul is a temple. Every heart is an altar. But as long as we consider ourselves just a body, as long as we are entangled only in the mind and desires, that temple remains shrouded in darkness. The light is there. The lamp is also there, but the wick is dry and the hands are tired. Yogananda says that every soul, if it searches with a true heart, can reach the same experience. No caste, no gender, no age is an obstacle. If there is an obstacle, it is only ignorance and laziness. The one who has the courage to overcome that ignorance becomes liberated. The one who is ready to descend within blossoms into divinity. But then the question arises, If the soul is so divine, why does it wander? Why does it fall into Maya? And what is this Maya that gives the soul such a dense illusion? The word Maya, as simple as it sounds, its mystery is just as deep and unfathomable. Maya is not just an illusion. It is the most subtle shadow of existence. It is the curtain that is drawn between truth and the soul. This curtain is not transparent. It is such that even with light, it appears as darkness. And even in darkness, the possibility of light appears. Paramahansa Yogananda calls Maya the cosmic dream of existence, the power of Brahman that creates, operates, and destroys the universe. It is Maya that binds the soul to the body, that gives the illusion of time and space, that makes death terrifying and life limited. Maya's biggest duty is this. It makes the soul believe that it is only a body, only a mind. And once this belief is established, the soul forgets its original nature. Then it runs in search of happiness, in search of identity, in search of permanence, while the source of all these is itself. Maya is attractive because it is colorful. It keeps all five senses fully engaged: name, form, smell, taste, touch. It says, look outside, get outside, live outside. And the soul, which is calm, simple, and silent, gets lost in this noise. But Maya is not an enemy. It is a test. It is the power of the same Supreme Soul that places obstacles on the path to lead the soul to its completeness, so that the soul may struggle, endure, and ultimately find its truth. It's just like a yogi sitting in the fire to practice tapas. The fire has not come to destroy him. It has come to purify him. Maya remains effective as long as the soul considers itself to be under the control of Maya. But the moment the soul touches its originality, even for a moment, in meditation, in love, in silence, the grip of Maya begins to loosen. It retreats the very moment the soul opens its eyes. But the question is, if Maya is just an illusion, then why does it seem so powerful? Why does its effect feel so real? Why do we return to the same cycle every time? The answer is not in Maya, but is hidden in that center that we call the mind. The mind is the medium through which Maya reaches the soul, and as long as the mind is ignorant, as long as it is inattentive, the roots of Maya remain deep. So can this mind be changed? Can its nature be reversed? Can this mind, which is currently the slave of Maya, become a companion of the soul? Yes, this is the essence of sadhana. To make the mind not a slave of the soul, but its practitioner. To turn the mind away from the colors of Maya towards the light of truth. This is not easy, but it is not impossible either. This is the journey that seers like Yogananda completed with complete devotion and invited us to walk on the same path. The mind is fundamentally an energy. It becomes what it is colored with. If it flows towards the senses, it becomes a slave of Maya. If it turns inward, it becomes a practitioner of the soul. There is only one way to change the mind, to connect it to its source. Meditation is the bridge for this transformation. When the mind sits calmly, when the movement of thoughts slows down, when the stirrings of desires cease, then the mind for the first time sees its true master, the soul. And as soon as the soul's touch occurs, as soon as the tune of love plays from within, the mind itself bows down. Paramahansa Yogananda says that in meditation, the mind can be gradually taught every day not to just bring news of the world, but to also start listening to the soul. This is practice. This is love. This is tapas. Meditation, prayer, silence, and true study are all ways to purify the mind. The mind cannot be changed by logic. The mind is changed by experience. And when the mind once sinks into the soul's consciousness, it becomes the most trustworthy friend. Then the same mind helps to lift the soul up. When the mind supports the soul, a new fragrance spreads in life. Then the person, while living in the world, becomes beyond the world. Then, while being bound in relationships, he is free within. Then there is no fear of death, because he knows, I am not just the body. I am not just the mind. I am that light that existed before birth and will remain after death. The entire life of Paramahansa Yogananda was the journey and expression of this truth. He not only recognized the divinity within himself, but also reminded the world, "You are also what I am. I am not an exception. I am an example." The mystery of what came before birth is not just a story of the soul's past lives. It is the memory of that eternal divinity that is still alive within all of us. This memory is deep but not forgotten. It has to be awakened with love, with silence, with meditation, and with a selfless life. And when that memory awakens, when the soul gets that fleeting glimpse of its true home, of its original existence, the entire life changes. Then time stops. Death is erased, and the soul smiles and says, "I am what I always was. I will always be." This is not an end. It is a beginning of going within, of deepening in consciousness, because the message of Paramahansa Yogananda is this: know yourself, and then know that you were never born. You have always been and will always be. If this experience has resonated with you in any way, please like it so that we know someone is awake, someone is searching. Subscribe to the channel, because such journeys do not happen alone. We need a company. We need fellow travelers. Press the bell so that whenever the next part comes, the soul's next knock reaches you without delay. Thank you.